Hey everybody, it's me, Mr. Comic Crack. So, um, today's a big day, so I thought I'd do a little live video. If you follow me on Twitter, if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen I've been working on a project lately. So, how this all started for me was a couple of different fold. Um, this castle synth that I built. Ordered it from the Czech Republic, a company called Bastel, and this is called their Castle. You can buy one that's already made, or you can buy the kit, and you can solder everything together. It gives you all the parts. Very, very easy to follow instructions on how to build it. It sits flat normally, and I thought, I'd like something that kind of elevates it a little bit and puts it on an angle. So I had some black and white show card that I cut into some pieces, taped, and fit to the castle itself. Oops, sorry. And then did some art all the way around. You can see I had to cut into it because I forgot there's the in and out jack and headphone jack right in there that was I couldn't get to the way that I built it, so I had to slice into this sucker, which is fine. So that just got me thinking about some of my gear in general. Over time, we're going to be getting our bathroom redone. We bought some wardrobes months ago now for our room. We have a closet in our room that's really the most impractical closet you've ever seen in your life. We're going to expand the bathroom, get everything done. So we were tearing out some of the floorboards and some of the shelving that was in that closet. And that scrap wood had been sitting outside. So thinking about this idea and thinking about the rest of my gear, specifically things like the O-Coast and the Korg SQ1 sequencer, wanting to do something similar where, well, what if I built something where these can sit on a bit of an angle so it's a little more accessible and easy to use instead of everything sitting flat on the table. I thought it might be nice to have something that kind of elevates it. And then I started thinking, well, I've got a bunch of gear. Maybe I build a little stand that can house a lot of stuff, and they don't have to be secured on there. They can just sit on there, and I can switch things out. And with some of my playing, the eventual goal is to maybe start playing some shows again. So I thought it would also be something nice to have for a show where I could have everything just in front of me and just kind of have a little easy to deal with setup. So that matched with the scrap wood, matched with I'm just feeling fucking adventurous. I have 3 hand tools. Why don't I figure out how to use them? Had seen some stuff online that people had built, and I mean, this is a shape that you end up seeing a lot. So I roughed out a shape, measured the actual gear that I wanted to sit on this. The bottom row is a little bigger for things like the no-coast. The top row is a little shorter just for things like the SQ1 or various effects pedals and stuff. Drew it all out, figured out the angles, found a protractor and figured out all the nice angles. I think this angle turned out to be 30 degrees and this one was 50, I believe. And that seemed like a nice kind of angle. Made sure that the cheeks here were a little bigger than the shelves to hide a lot of that stuff. The original intention was to hide this little shelf bottom here, but you'll see the final project. So I've never really built stuff like this. When I was a teenager in like junior high and stuff, did wood shops and things, and I always really loved it, but I never really I've just never really explored it. So I was kind of excited about this project, and especially once I found the shelving outside and stripped the paint off it and sanded it all down and saw how kind of nice it looked, I started getting more ideas of what colors to paint it, maybe use some glow-in-the-dark paint, and maybe I can do a stencil on the side and da-da-da, and all these kind of things. It just kind of spiraled from there. So let's just present you with the final piece. If there is anybody there watching, Thank you very much for watching. I'm using my phone, so I don't see any comments that you may be making. I hope that my battery survives here. So, here is the final piece that I have upside down. So here we go. So this is what I ended up building. I went with orange. I had some orange spray paint. That's pretty much the only reason I went with orange. Cut myself a stencil to put onto the side. That took a hell of a long time. I was going to do a stencil on the other side. You can see how that went. I haven't got to it yet. This side is unfinished. I treated everything with kind of like a nice coating to protect my instruments from any paint stripping off of it. There's a couple of things I've learned doing this that if I make one again in the future, or if I do any projects in the future, there's a few things I would change. That kind of protective coating I probably wouldn't necessarily use. It kind of leaves a little bit of a weird texture on it that I'm not as crazy about. So what you can't see is there's a layer of glow-in-the-dark paint on these. There's a layer of glow-in-the-dark paint just on the crack logo there. I'm not near a light switch, so you'll just have to imagine what that like's glowing. So the first thing I did was the sides, put these in, realized, you know, I'm going to need more of a shelf at the bottom here. My original idea was to have this set back a little more, but it didn't offer enough space for things to sit on, so I adjusted that idea. It still worked out good. They're kind of just flush with the sides here. You can't really see it, but they're just flush with the sides. I would have liked everything set back a little more, so that's the first thing that I would do. If this happened in the future, I'd set these shelves back even further, like back here or something. So there was a little more protection on the side. I also like the idea of, if I use things like a pedal, for example, if that was set a little deeper, I like the idea of drilling a big hole in the side, like a mouse hole in the side to run cables through, just to kind of have the out going here out to my mixer, which could be on this side. All the ins could be coming through this way and running along the chain. I like that idea. So that's something I would do differently in the future. Then I realized that it was pretty flimsy, so I added these two back brace pieces that I kind of, sit it down, spaced evenly, so if I want to in the future put like a back panel on it just to hide some of this, I have that option. And I was playing with some drawings and some ideas where I could make this kind of an art piece on the back too. I think would be very cool. The other lesson that I learned in building this project is that in the future, put all the bracing on first, then put these on. What's happened here is, you can probably see that, it's kind of bowed because of the size that it was cut and put in first. Everything now is kind of sucked everything a little tighter, so that's warped this back shelf a little bit, which is an easy enough fix. Just take it out. I still have more scrap wood. I can always cut more and paint more and then fit it in nicer so it sits a little firmer. That's one thing that I've learned. Another thing that I learned is, along those same lines, because I made it the width that I did, there's not much support back here, so I'm going to have to come up with some sort of idea where, even if it's a little, like one of these end blocks that I have here, even if it's something like that along the back in the middle, just to connect to this bottom shelf and to the back, just to offer it a little more sturdiness. Because right now nothing really heavy can go in there because I could feel it pushing back on it a little too much. But the gist of it is, it was a hell of a fun project, and at the end of the day, it looks pretty fucking great. You know, sequencer up here. Once everything is all properly secured. I'll get some feet on here. I was also thinking maybe I could put some drawer liner just to help have things grip a little more. What else do we got here? A flanger, put this down here. Drum machine up here. There we go. Just a few bits of the machinery, bit of the gear that I can pop into place. Even room for effects pedals if I want to. Well, actually that's not too bad. I can sort of hold on and still turn them on and off. Anyway, that's the project. I really like it. I think it's really great. It fulfills that kind of desire that I have in my head lately of getting into modular synths. And as exciting as that stuff is, it's fucking expensive. So I don't know if I'll ever go down that road. But this stuff is a lot of fun. This gear that I do have, I'm learning how to use it better along with the sampler and things. And coming up with some really interesting sounds and ideas for pieces. Yeah, this just really needs some support. So this is as close to modular as I'll probably end up getting, stuff like the O-Coast. There you go. That's the project that you've seen me working on for all these days. Those of you who have been seeing the updated photos as a giddy school child. 44-year-old schoolboy does his woodshop project that's actually not a hash pipe. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, everybody. Yeah, let me know what you think. Have you ever built anything instrument-wise? Those of you who do play, maybe furniture-wise. This does inspire me to tackle some other projects, though. I've always wanted some nice comic type of drawers, which I've talked about before, just for storage and stuff like that upstairs, built into a bookshelf that would be a part of our wall. So this kind of gives me a little nudge of like, hey, you know, yes, this isn't a fucking built-in bookshelf on a wall, but it's starting down a path, so it does give me a little bit of extra confidence that, yeah, you know, time and money, maybe a couple more tools, I might be able to pull that off half-assed enough that it wouldn't fall on anybody and kill them. Yeah, thanks very much for watching, everybody. We'll talk to you.